fail. Right. And yes, so yeah, thank you for coming. And it does mean the world to me that you have been coming. Like I said, without you, there's no lessons, and you do inspire me. I'm always like, if I've often said before, if you've got anything you want to learn, to let me know. If there's anything that's been bugging you, let me know, and I'll see if I can wrangle something in. Cause, you know, end of the day, I've got nothing else to think about other than what's going on in the world. So anyway, so what I thought I'd do today is a little lesson about solstice, and I've been researching actually about bits and bobs, and because I was going to just do a sun salutation, a moon salutation, I'm thinking there must be more to the world than moons and sun salutations, and there are. But what I did read, whilst I was looking for some ideas for today's lesson, was this really lovely phrase, and it kind of resonates with sankalpas, which we looked at. You know, I've been trying to get us to think of some, and it's a phrase from the Upanishads. So the Upanishads is I've got a book over here, The Story of Yoga, and it tells you where yoga started. So yoga started as just being a series of practices that people used to do in forests and woods and stuff, and then it started become more ritualized, and it was mentioned in these books called the Upanishads in India like thousands and thousands of years ago, and then from there it developed into like the Yoga Sutras. And so I mean the Yoga Sutras is basically, it doesn't really mention postures. Yoga for many initial practitioners was just the stilling of the mind, so it's like breath practices and rituals to cleanse the body. So you could, this idea that you're going to unite yourself with something greater. Then I think it was Indian gyms. This book, honestly, I read it. I'll get it out here. It's quite meaty, but yeah, it was like these Indian wrestling gyms that then developed a lot more of the postures. See, this is what I read in lockdown. Look at the thickness of that baby. Yeah, Indian wrestling gyms came out with a lot of the postures that we then practiced and the ones that we tend to know. And then the stuff that we then got to know, there's a guy called Patabi Joyce. He made like Ashtanga yoga and brought it to the West and stuff. And then it's just evolved, and it keeps evolving now. And I often wonder, am I teaching yoga? Am I teaching something else? But I think as long as we've got that idea of still in the mind, then I think we are teaching yoga. But anyway, Upanishads, it had a lovely little phrase that I've read this morning, and it basically is, you are what your deepest desire is. As your desire is, so is your intention. As your intention is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. And I just thought, wow, that's a really profound thing. Says me, I don't think I'm profound. No, but it's just the thing about what your deepest desire is. And I think when I'm looking at sankalpas, I'm often grasping round for mine. I was sitting there thinking, it ends up being an absolutely gigantic, massive phrase of about 1 million words, and I think it should be succinct. And I just thought, like, what is my deepest desire? And my deepest desire is just to be happy. And I thought, well, that's my destiny then, isn't it? I don't think it should be anything more than that. So my sankalpa is I am happy. And I think sometimes when you recognise these deepest things within you, it just opens up a whole new way of looking at stuff. So there you go. So that was. I just want you just to kind of dwell on that as we come into practice. So shall we come to seated? I think that might be nice today. So taking a seat and sit however you feel is most comfortable. So you could be sitting on a block, you could be sitting on a cushion, you could be sitting in a massive pair of inappropriate trousers like I am, and closing your eyes and just come into this lovely idea of intention. So you are what your deepest desire is. As your desire is, so is your intention. As your intention is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. Just dwell on that. What is your deepest desire? And for today's practice, it's the solstice day, and this lesson really is going to be a dance of the duality. Within yoga practice, we have yin yoga, which represents the moon, And we have yang yoga, which is the one that gets all the energy flowing, which is that represents the sun, the light and dark, the night and day. And so I thought, you know, lots of little metaphors, looking at our destinies and our desires. So often winter, we often see it as a place where there's a rebirth. We lose the leaves on the trees, everything kind of dies off, and then we get the spring coming. And this is the day when that turnaround starts to happen. So we're honouring our bodies by practicing yoga today and by thinking about our desires and what these mean. We're just sending our awareness inwards just for a few moments. So I want to start the lesson today with a little breathing practice, just moving into Nadi Shodhana. So if you can just place your right hand centre of your forehead, 3 middle fingers, and then drop your little finger towards your left nostril and your thumb towards your right nostril. And if you can just block your right nostril, but keep the left open and take an in-breath. And then block the left open, right, and breathe out. And then breathing in through the right nostril. Block the right and breathe out left. So that's one round. We're just going to continue that just for a few moments. And just thinking about maybe what this breath represents. So it has been, it's said that within the brain, our brain is split into two sides, the logical and emotional, and the feminine and the masculine. And so they often say that this breath stimulates these two sides of the brain. So the left side is our feminine and creative side, and the right side is our masculine and logical side. So as you're breathing in through the right nostril, you're actually stimulating the left side brain. And as you're breathing in through the left nostril, you're stimulating the right side brain. So again, that sense of yin, yang, light, dark, sun, moon. So ending with your right nostril. Lowering your hands down to your lap. Just keeping your eyes closed and just notice where your gaze is. Is it turned downwards? Are your eyes alive behind your eyelids? And then let's start just to gently undulate the pelvis. So rolling the pelvis under so we can let our gaze drop down towards the belly button, and then roll the pelvis forward so we can feel the heart come forward. Taking your time just to play with this undulation. I'm hoping you're getting the feeling from the lessons that we're teaching that I'm less concerned with perfection in postures. I'm more about sensing and feeling about what feels right. And same goes with this one. Just trying to be the most at ease you are with your practice, letting go. If you notice any tension in your neck, let that go. If you notice that you're pushing too hard, let that go. And then let's begin to circle. So taking your awareness again down into the pelvis, thinking about trying to let every part of the sit bones, the pubic bones, tailbone meet the floor. And just let that spine circulate around on top. And then when you're ready, we can go in the opposite direction. So just again, take your time. Letting go of effort. And then taking yourself just to seated, sliding your feet out in front of you. So we're going to come into Baddha Konasana. I would start far away, so be in no hurry to, again, when I was first taught this, it was all about getting the feet in as close as you can and push, push, push. Don't do that. Have your feet away. So think about this as a yin posture, something that's really easy, that's not going to burn too much energy. So have the feet away from you. You can always drop your hands into the floor behind you. And just let your pelvis feel really heavy. But then as you let your pelvis feel heavy, I want you just to think about bringing the balls of your feet together. So big toes beginning to press. And then think about your feet. I want you to think about if you were, without moving your feet, could you try to pull them towards you? So if you to do that, you can feel your pelvis begin to move. Imagine you pushing your feet out to the right. What happens? You feel yourself dropping onto your left pelvis. Imagine pushing your feet away. What happens? Do you roll, do you sit back a little? And then imagine pushing your feet away to the left. As you push your feet to the left, you move onto your right pelvis. So you pull the heels towards you, to the right, push away, and it's starting to circulate and undulate your pelvis. And just take your time just to let those movements flow through you. So again, we're not thinking about pushing anything deeper. So I think having the hands on the floor behind help with that as well. And then we can go the other way, pulling heels towards, pushing feet to the left, pushing feet forward, pushing feet to the right. It's very subtle. And you start to question whether or not it's your feet that's doing the movement or if it's your hips that's doing the movement. So just, start to let it feel natural and just let go of what is actually moving you. And then we can walk ourselves to center, placing your hands just in the space between your feet, walking sit bones back if that feels comfortable. And then we can place our hands either side of the feet and just gently walk the hands forwards, just going as far as feels comfortable. So again, it's really early on in the lesson. This should not be seen as the deepest posture you could ever achieve. So just starting again with that sense of just bringing a little bit of heat into the muscles. So let's walk our hands back in towards the feet, tuck your toes underneath you and settle down into child's pose. So again, if child's pose doesn't agree, we could always put a little cushion just behind the knees and then sliding your hands forwards towards the floor. Again, if your head never likes to reach the floor, we can make two little fists. So I want this to feel, again, as a comforting pose that's not going to cause any strain to joints or to the neck. So just settle in the best way that you can. And just staying connected with your breath. Feeling each breath that you take and how it presses into the thighs and swells the lower back. Bringing some lovely soothing release, hopefully, to those lower muscles of the back. Just feeling the weight of how your body connects into the earth. I mean, I know we're not fully on the earth. We're all in rooms with wooden floors and concrete floors, but we are connected to that ground. Feel how you're rooting. So sliding your hands out in front of you, we're going to just come up towards our cat-cow. So gently press into your shins and allow yourself to roll up. Hands fall softly under your shoulders, spacing out your knees. And take your gaze forward, lifting your tailbone. And then look down the floor, look down the centre of the mat, and look down between your knees. Allow your tailbone to drop. And then again, move in your awareness forwards. Let your heart, let your hips, everything follow. So just keeping that movement as a whole body movement, feeling when your hands are just gently pressing into the floor and feeling when your heart begins to sink towards the floor. And again, just gently pressing into your hands, feel your heart floating away from the floor. And again, how your heart sinks towards the floor. Just take your time to feel every part of the spine involved and invited into the movement. And it's very easy to fall into traps I find with this little posture. For me personally, I become aware that I really overuse my lower back. So I'm just thinking about spreading the effort into other parts of the back. It might be that you tend to notice in this one that you overuse the shoulders or the neck. So again, what would be the best way for you to look forwards or to look between the legs without going into these little favourite places? So tucking your toes under, just gently push your hands into the mat so your bottom drops down to heels. Keep your heart drawn gently forward. So we kind of think about having a neutral spine in this position. And then press into your hands, lift your knees and softly roll back into dog. So keep your knees bent and just spread your hands, looking back to the toes and just feel in here that sense again of your connection to the earth through your hands and your feet. And that sense of introspection through the heart as we draw our gaze down to it and we draw in that heart back towards our shins behind us. Just notice the sense of release of the breath as we hang ourselves upside down. Gravity is assisting us, the breath is lengthened. Notice how, because the diaphragm drops up into the chest, there's a sense of hollowness through the tummy as well. Again, the sense of really, truly letting go, creating space within us. So let's look to our hands and step your right foot by your right hand and lower your left knee or vice versa. So use your right foot. In fact, let's just hang out here for a second. Keep your hands on the floor. Have a look at your right foot. And I think I was going through this the other week, weren't I, about your foot and your hip. We've all got different foots and hips. So turn your, if it feels uncomfortable for your foot to be pointing forwards, play with your foot. Turn it out. Maybe even wiggle it wider. That might suit some of us as well, because again of where these hips are made, hips are built. Let's have a little play with your foot. What is going to be a really good place for this foot to be? Because we're going to come up into a bit of a lunge position. So settle into what feels right. And then we're going to begin to gently press then down into the right foot, sweeping ourselves up into Anjaneyasana. So we're just going to let the pelvis come to neutral. Think about those ribs settling just over the top of the pelvis. So not going too deeply in this. I mean, you can definitely do this pose with lots of energy, like, dropping the hips and reaching up. And that's not where I am. I want us to think about being, you know, more comfortable within the bones we've got. And then we're just going to bring the hands to heart. So as we bring those hands to heart, this Anjali Mudra, just notice where your energy and your intention goes. And just let your breath do all the work, feeling as your belly rises, your belly swells. We're beginning to open up these places that we often find ourselves pushing into. So the left thigh, the left hip, that left psoas. So staying here for a number of breaths, working really with a bit of yin style intention, basically not pushing into anything, not being unhurried, taking our time to stay centered with our breath. And then let's bring our hands back down to the floor. And again, settle with that sense of, you know, feeling supported through the arms, feeling grounded through the right foot. And we're going to start to come up into a lunge. So we're going to have the back knee off the floor. So find a way to tuck the left foot underneath you. So he's going to bring the left foot into the floor. Then bend the right knee and push down with the right foot to bring yourself to standing. I told you I've got massive trousers on today. I bought them off eBay and they're not meant to be this big. So there you go. Looking down towards the front of the mat, we're going to move into triangle pose. So we're going to raise the right arm. And if you can then bring your left thumb and your left little finger onto that lower rib and the front of the pelvis, just so we can keep a watchful eye on the tummy and the lower back. Exhale, think about moving from the pelvis. So feel the pelvis tilting, keeping that space between the hand, the little finger and the thumb. It's very easy to begin to collapse. I can feel myself beginning to change shape, so I'm going to lower now my right hand onto my shin. And then I'm going to just bring my left arm out like an aeroplane wing, and then I'm turning the chest so I can feel the left arm floating up and back. Then just soften that right knee slightly so you're not going to push into the joint. And then this is where I want you to kind of bring your awareness in this posture, which is this idea of feeling grounded through the feet, but simultaneously feeling that energy from the feet coming up through that left hand. So reaching up with the left hand, think about expansion. Drawing in the ribs at the front of the body, they tend to want to float forward here. So hug them in and just feel how the left side body begins to open up. Turning your body back to face the floor. So just think about this time, just giving your hips a bit of a shake. And then bring yourself up so you stand in and bringing your hands again back down back to heart center. So begin to bend your right knee and push back with your left heel so we can lift the heel of the left foot up off the floor. And then turn your body to the right. So you're bringing that right shoulder round, left elbow kind of beginning to hover over the top of the right thigh. And then bring the left elbow down towards your right knee. And if you wish, you can ground that left knee, particularly if you feel unsteady, so you can have the left knee on the floor. But if you're happy to keep that left heel lifted, keep the left heel lifted, pressing into your palm. So for me, a lot of the stability comes from the hands pressing together. So here we are creating a bit of a play between the energy of yin and yang. Turning your body towards the floor. Step your left foot forwards and underneath. And coming into a bit of a fold to start with. So bending your knees, let your belly find the thighs, and then check out your spine. So where is your head? Where is your chest? Where is your sit bones? I want you to think about as having a quite neutral spine. So I've got my hands on my shins, just trying to level out the spine, trying to make myself nice and lengthened through the center of the body. And then I'm going to bring the hands back so they're reaching towards the walls behind. I'm going to bring them forwards above my head. And I'm taking a seat, moving into chair pose. Bring your hands down to heart again. Have a little look down to knees, so knees in the direction of the toes, gently squeezing heels together. So again, another strong pose, but we can play with the idea of yin and yang. We can come out of it, straighten the legs. And then exhale, just kind of softly come into chair. And again, inhaling, straightening the legs. And again, exhaling, coming into chair. Just think about, sometimes you'll find a really comfy seat and you'll kind of nestle into it. Maybe just kind of bounce into it a little bit and see how it is to just bounce and then settle in. And again, inhaling, coming out, maybe bounce, think about eventually you're going to sit down and then settling in. And once you're settled in the chair, again, just play with how it is just to be here. Feel your breath, where it goes. So again, turning your awareness to the right, turning your chest to the right, and bending the knees a little bit more. And this left elbow is going to find the right knee. So let the bottom shift back, left elbow to right knee, press into palms. Turning your body back towards the floor, settle into fold. And then tuck your tailbone under, roll up to standing. Bringing your hands again to heart. Taking your left ankle across onto your right knee. And take another little seat. So just bring those hips gently back. Whoops-a-daisy, falling over as you go. So again, we don't have to go too far in this pose. So you might notice all these postures require quite a lot of concentration. And concentration stills the mind. Straightening the legs. Roll down to fold. And let this fold be one that feels right for you. So we can have bended knees, we can have bellies resting on thighs, we can even fold the arms and just let the spine dangle and drape from the hips. So again, be comfortable in the fold you choose to do. So hopefully get into sense of the energy that comes from these postures as well. So, we're doing quite a few heat building postures, but then we're letting go of that heat as well. So let's walk ourselves back into downward facing dog. So those feet again walk towards the back of the mat. We spread our palms and gently again push the hands forwards. And again, checking in on your feet, feeling how they connect to the earth, feeling how the heart draws back. Our awareness moves inwards towards the heart center. Again, noticing that the breath is lengthened and emptying. And how the navel draws back to the spine as the diaphragm shifts up into the rib cage. Again, that sense of pouring out. Letting go. So let's look to the hands, and again, the left foot comes forward so we can drop the right knee and step the left foot forward if we wish. So settle down. And as we did before, we had a little look about how this left leg connects into the floor. So again, turn the toes out. Does that feel good? Turn the heel out. Does that feel good? Walking the foot wider. Does that feel good? So again, checking on your hips, your pelvis. What's going to feel like a good place for your left foot to be? Feeling the support through the ground, through your arms. And then beginning to press down into the left foot and bringing yourself again to that neutral place where the pelvis feels upright, the ribs are over the pelvis, and guiding your hands to heart center, and just spend some time feeling the push of the left foot and how your breath does all the beautiful work here. So no need to push, just let your breath expand into this central place. Hands move back down towards the floor. So again, just find support through the arms, through the fingers, through the bones. Just let the hips just kind of release towards the floor for a moment. And then tuck your toes behind you under. So we're going to bring the heel of the right foot into the floor. That will lift the right knee. And then bend in your left knee. Press into the left foot and allow yourself to stand in. Placing your right hand on the ribs and on the on the front of the pelvis. So we're going to try and keep this part of the body lengthened as we raise the left arm up. Take an inhale. And then exhale, begin that movement of floating forward without adjusting the center of the body. So move from the pelvis, watchful eye. So again, I'm just keeping that awareness, trying to keep the space through the center. I can feel it wanting to change shape, so that is now where I place the left hand down, bringing the right arm out like an airplane wing, and then turning the chest, trying to keep that hand in line with the heart as I turn. Again, just soften the left knee slightly, don't push through the back of the joint. And again, feeling that sense of grounding through the feet and extension up through the hand. Pull the low ribs in at the chest, feel the right side lengthen. Turning the body back towards the floor, give your hips a bit of a shake. And then pressing into your left foot, rise up, bringing your hands to heart. I need to spin around so I can keep a little eye on you. So turning your chest to the left, so you're going to bring that left shoulder round, right elbow starts to kind of hover over the left thigh in some way, and then begin to bend your left knee. Take then the right elbow down towards the left knee. And that right foot, slide it back a little, but if it feels more comfortable to place it on the floor, place the right knee down on the floor. Keep pressing through the palms. This is again where I feel the stability, that press through the palms. Turning your body back towards the floor, step in your right foot under. And then as we settle down in this fold, bring your hands to your ankles. Bend your knees. Think about your spine being straight. So we're going to let our bellies drop onto thighs. Again, check your feet, feel how strong they are. Check on your neck, look where you're looking at. So you kind of want the spine to be in a natural lengthened position. Taking your hands back towards the pelvis, float them forward, drop the bottom towards the heels, press and rise up to find your chair. And again, dancing between the energies here. It's a very strong pose, this chair. So again, we can come out of it, take an inhale. And again, we can begin to bend our knees and settle down into a softer chair. So, you know, think about maybe bouncing in and out of chair. Kind of come out and exhale and settle in. Come out. Exhale, settle in. Bring your hands to heart as well. That'd be a lot nicer as well. And just for a few moments, stay in chair. Feel the grounding of the floor, that energy that builds up into tummy. And then turning everything to the left, so bringing the palms around, pressing into the hands. Have a look at your right elbow. Again, that is going to somehow find your left thigh. So again, there's a bit of an adjustment, shifting the hips back, right elbow comes closer to the left thigh. Think about the toes staying, the knees staying over the toes, press into palms. Releasing down, rising up to standing, and then this time taking your right ankle over and to your left thigh. So take your time, hands to heart again. And then starting to bend the left knee, just taking that little seat. Whee. Letting go and settling down again into fold. We've done all the yang stuff for today's lesson. So soften down. Make the fold your own. So again, knees bent if you need to. Letting arms dangle beneath the body if that feels better. But just check into how your feet meet the floor. Think about your little toes rooting out from the centre of the foot, the big toes rooting out from the centre of the foot. Just even checking whether or not your weight is between both feet. Shake your hips gently. Bring your weight to your right foot. Let your weight go to your left foot, and then just get that sense of settling in between and letting the muscles do their job, releasing from the sit bones all the way down into the feet. So let's begin to settle down onto the floor. So kind of fancy practicing a few little more yin poses today, just mainly because they're very nice. So just for a second, just take a moment just to settle into a good seated position and just come into how you feel on the inside, the energy that flows through the body. So coming forwards onto towards, we're going to do something similar to puppy dog. It's called melting heart. So we'll start with our hands just in front of our knees, and lift your bottom up off your feet, and then start to slide your hands forward. So again, your bottom's off your feet. Start to bring your elbows to the floor. So for some of us, this might feel more comfortable to have the elbows to the floor. And all we're letting happen is letting our heart drop down between the arms. But for some of us, we're going to start to walk the elbows and the hands forward, just letting that heart come closer to the floor. And let your heart come towards the floor if you can, and you feel that you want to, and you're looking forward. If that strains the neck, you can bring your forehead into the floor. But if you do that, just think about your elbows, just doing a little bit of a job to rest. So just let your elbows rest into the floor if you've got your forehead on the floor. In fact, if you're looking forward as well, let your elbows support the head. So you're just feeling a little bit of a press on the elbows, feeling the palms spread, but you're letting that heart sink towards the floor. Just taking here a few breaths, let your breath again do the magic of the posture. You're staying here for 8 more breaths. Sliding yourself back down into child's pose. So again, supporting the head if that feels good. Just let the lower back begin to soften and round over the thighs. Placing your hands down into the floor, taking a seat, and taking your feet out in front of you. Interesting pose coming up now. So we're going to move into one called fire log. So extending your legs out in front of you to start with. And for fire log, you've got to go with what feels right and what feels wrong, I would say. So what would feel wrong is the sense of, burning pain. I'm really selling this pose to you. Let's just try going into it, shall we? So it's kind of it's kind of like Sukhasana. So let's find Sukhasana first. So we're going to bring the feet in. In fact, let's do one-legged ones. So now we've got knee issues, haven't we, in this class? So so which leg shall we do? Pick your favourite leg, the one that doesn't injure you the most and annoy you the most, and bring that one in and see how you feel about crossing that ankle over onto your opposite leg. And this in itself, to me, actually is good enough for the pose. Walking your sit bones back, think about your spine being tall. And so full fire log is taking this other foot underneath. And yeah, and some people are really, really fussy about fire logs. I mean, it's got the name fire log because these shins are meant to resemble stacked logs, like, of a fire. For me to have them stacked, it's excruciating. So I actually cheat a little bit. I actually pull the lower heel under, which causes a lot less strain in that hip joint. And that's what I want to avoid doing. Just because someone says it has to look a certain way doesn't mean that you have to do it that certain way. For me to have these shins completely stacked is horrendous. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to listen to the body and I'm going to do a half version of it. So I'm pulling one foot back. And that to me is comfortable. But if that to you is not comfortable, then I would go with a single leg version. So there's nothing wrong with listening and honouring what your body's saying. I can see rollers, oh no, we've got some different versions of it. So go with what feels right. I'm going to do both just because I tend to think that you kind of go, oh, she's doing that, I'm going to do it. So please do what feels right. And then we're just going to bring again that awareness back into what we feel with our breath. If it feels right, you can bring the fingers to the floor and walk them forward. So let your fingers guide you into this. So again, you're listening to your pelvis, you're listening to your backs, you're listening to your hips. And again, there's that sense of good and bad, isn't there, in postures? You sometimes think because it hurts, it must be good. That's not entirely true. You've got to listen to what you're feeling. Is it strain? Is it, a good sensation that you're feeling? Walking yourself in back to seated and taking your legs out in front of you. Go nice and wide. And then let your knees fall whatever way they feel best about falling first. Just let that top pelvis float up, rolling again the other way. And again, just let your knees feel heavy. Think about your knees feel heavy. So let them drop. Let them bring that pelvis up and round. So again, I've done this pose. This is windscreen white pose. And I've done it, with control, thinking, oh, there are the knees and la, la, la. But I'm actually just letting go and just thinking, I can actually hear my knee going clunking and a lot of weightlessness to that pose. So again, just think about doing this with the least amount of effort. So we've got another leg, haven't we? So shall we extend out these legs and think about the opposite leg? So I had my left leg on top of my right thigh, and now I know it's coming, we can modify it. It might be just you're thinking that you're not even going to go into fire log. So fire log is with one foot on the thigh. It could be you're going to just kind of have it tucked in if that feels comfortable. So try that as a modification for sore knees. It might just be in a little bit. It might be in a lot. It might be that you're going to support it with a cushion in some way. I don't need to strain that knee. It's just that obviously we're doing the other side. It might be that you think, do you know what? I'm going to leave that leg well alone and I'm going to do it same on both sides. So that is your choice. I just want that leg to feel comfortable. So if you are going to explore coming into fire log with the opposite leg, you'd bring it in, or if you want to repeat it on that same leg, repeat it again. Walking the sit bones back. It could even be that if you're going to try it with a knee that's not your best friend, you could maybe just do it a bit further forward, just so we can, the big thing for me is not where the knee is, it's actually what's going on in your hip. So it could be you're going to just have that foot crossed a little bit so the angle's not so great, something like that, rather than going into the full pose. But wherever you're choosing to sit, again, it might be an inquiry. Can I slide the other foot underneath? Does it feel like a good idea? Does it feel horrendous? What am I feeling? Does it feel like I'm jarring anything in the pelvis? If it does, then again, you adjust it, you slide that foot out, you have the foot, tuck the foot under a little bit. So again, I want you to be comfortable in this. You're listening to your joints. We're all built differently. And I guess this pose suits some people more than others. So again, we're trying to adapt things for our own bodies. And then if it's comfortable, you might not want to take your hands to the floor, but if you want to take your hands to the floor, take your hands to the floor. See, I can now think this sounds really horrendous to me, so I'm going to extend my left leg and I'm going to do the half version of it. And again, it's just a light softening of forwards, just letting the weights of the hips feel heavy. Walking your hands back in towards your feet, untangling your legs. And again, let's have these knees nice and wide. And again, let go of the knees either way. So I think we've done many, many movements in the body. The only one we haven't really looked at is this front line of body. And I thought that one of the loveliest ways to get into one of the poses is by rolling. As you know, I like a roly-poly. So let's lay down and do a few little roly-polies, shall we? So, settling down with your feet standing up and your knees pointing to the ceiling. Drop your right knee outwards so you can feel it coming to rest towards the floor. And then your right foot, if you can slide it underneath the bridge of your left knee. So if that makes any sense, you've got the left knee standing up, you've got your right knee out, and then you've got that that right foot is just under your left knee. In your left hand, hopefully, can touch that right big toe on your left side. So just see if you can wrap your hand around your right big toe on your just under your left knee. And then taking your hand onto your tummy, your right hand onto your tummy. We're just going to do what we did last week, slowly sliding your right hand up the belly, up the chest, up the nose, over the face, and then onto the floor above your head. Let the hand slide softly away. And then taking your hand again back in towards your head, back over your nose, back over your chin, back over your chest and onto your tummy. And just do that a few times, taking your hand to slide up your chest, over the nose, and away. So let the hand rest somewhere overhead and then turn your head to look to the hand. And then we're just going to begin to gently press into the left foot. Feel your pelvis turning. Feel your heart turning. And again, just settle back down onto your back. So pressing with your left foot, feel the pelvis turning, feel your heart turning. Looking at your right hand, can we let that left shoulder begin to float off the floor? So just notice that it's happening. Keeping your left knee standing up if you can. Let your heart come forwards, noticing that you are looking at your right hand and your left shoulder keeps floating off the floor. And it's all because you're pressing the left foot. Feel the left shoulder becoming lighter. Notice your gaze shifting up towards your hand. And as you settle back down onto your back, notice your gaze shifting back towards the ceiling. And then we can again look towards our hand, but then take your left foot off the floor and roll over onto your front. And you're looking at your right hand. Straighten your left leg. Just see how you feel about keeping hold of that right leg, bringing the foot towards your bottom. And then take your left foot back in towards your bottom, lay your head back down. We're going to move with that left foot. Try to bring your left foot to the floor behind you. It's going to roll you back onto your back. Oh, I can see some furniture being moved. I'm really sorry. Settle down. You thought it escaped all the furniture, didn't you, today? All the roly-poly. So again, repeating, pressing into your left foot. Noticing that your gaze moves to the right. You look to your right hand. Take your left foot off the floor. And you're bringing your knee forward and you're going to feel yourself rolling onto your tummy. Straighten your left foot and bring that right foot in towards your bottom. So you should be lifting your heart at this point. So it's a one-legged bow pose. To come out of it, take your left foot back in and bring that left foot off the floor, this bit of a roly-poly onto your back and settle back down. And then we'll do that one more time, pushing with the left foot. Feel the pelvis roll over. And then rolling back. Extending your legs out into the floor in front of you. Just settle down for a moment. Nice, fluid movement. So bending both knees again. This time you drop your left knee out so that left foot goes under your right knee. And then your right hand finds your left big toe in some way. And then place your left hand on the tummy, sliding your left hand up over the tummy, over the chest, over the chin, over the nose, and softly and away onto the floor above your head. And then repeating, bringing the hand back in, taking your time again, just to feel that line of energy and awareness from the tummy. Settling the left hand overhead on the floor. Pressing gently into your right foot, feel the pelvis turn in. And just if you were to open your eyes, just notice that your head kind of looks ahead and then begins to look to the left. And just start to notice as you do this, your right shoulder begins to float up off the floor. So you push into the foot, feel your right shoulder get lighter, but start now to look towards your left hand and again roll softly back onto your back. Pushing with your right foot, feel the right shoulder float up off the floor. Keep pushing, let your head slide back. You're looking at your left hand. And then when you feel most able, it feels the lightest. Take your right foot off the floor and see how you feel about rolling over. And again, straighten out your right leg and you're holding that left foot in towards your bottom. Heart is lifted, looking at your left hand. To come out of the pose, rebend your right knee and take that right foot wee off the floor, bring it behind you and roll back onto your back. And just try that again. Press, turn, feel yourself. It might be you don't actually want to roll over, but I do. I'm taking that foot off the floor, rolling over onto my front. And then the right foot comes off the floor, find the space behind, and again, you roll back onto your back. One more time, press, roll, take the foot off, roll over, and roll back. And at the end of the movement, straighten out your legs and again, feel the ground behind you. Just rest there for a few moments, but we're going to end the class coming to seated. So just take your time just to feel the ground, feel the energies that you've created, cultivated, and then slowly coming up to seated. So placing your hands on your tummy, I'm going to go through all the breaths. I threatened this to you the other week and never actually got round to doing it, did I? So I'm going to go through all the breaths. So the first breath we're going to do is Kapalabhati. So it's a breath out through your nose. Imagine that you're trying to blow a candle out with your nose. You can just do as few or as many as you like. So space it at your own space. So we're just going to take an inhale, and then it's as though you're trying to snuff out a candle with your nose. And then when you're ready, just the breath comes in like kind of subtly, but you notice the exhale. So please don't, we're not gulping in and gulping out. The effort's on the exhale. Just let that inhale just come back in naturally. Start to slow the breath down. But keep your awareness on your navel. And just let this merge into belly breath. Just let your navel come out, let your navel come in. Just bringing your thumb and forefinger to touch and just allow them just to keep resting wherever you've got them. The next out breath we take, it'd be really nice just to do a long, deep sigh of ah. Just noticing how the body feels. And then guiding the navel in towards the spine, gently squeeze the pelvic floor. And we're just going to take our awareness then into our chest. Just take your time just to breathe here. And as we do this, we're going to bring the fingers down onto the pads of skin underneath the thumb. So we're going to keep the thumb and forefinger touching, but the rest of the fingers are down on that skin just at the base of the thumb. Letting go of the navel, letting go of the pelvic floor. The next sound we could make is an ooh sound. So if you're going to make the sound, do it on the next out breath. Ooh. Just notice where you feel the energy in the body. And we're going to change mudras now. So tucking your thumbs underneath your fingers, wrap your fingers over the thumbs, place them again down on the lap. For the next few breaths we take, we circle shoulders. So take an inhale, lift and roll the shoulders, drop them down. So letting go on the out breath. Letting go of the breath. Take an inhale. The next sound you would make would be a long sound. So uniting those three syllables, defining that last part of So take an inhale. So notice vibration, notice where it's felt. And then we're going to bring the hands together. So keeping in the same mudra, you just bring the knuckles to touch. Let them rest in front of the tummy. We're just going to move into full yogic breath, taking an inhale. And exhale, so the belly rises, taking that breath all the way up to the collarbones. It might be that we notice this breath is just a lot easier to do as we've let go of all the tension we hold within inside the rib cage. So creating space for our energy to flow. So letting go of the hands, letting go of any mudras. Take an inhale, and the full sound of Om hopefully will create a beautiful vibration through your body now. So taking in your breath. And then just rest within your breath for a few moments. Just going to start to practice within a few seconds Ujjayi breath. So we should all know that one, the one that catches in the throat. So just let it start to form now. And again, this is where we start to notice that our awareness is just moving more and more inwards. So pranayama is just about letting go of that sensations of the outside and moving our awareness inside, where all the magic happens. Beginning to reflect upon the energy you feel through the body. Noticing this little creation that we've made. Is the mind emptier? Softening the breath into sukha breath, so just natural breath. Just let the breath come and go as it pleases. Moving back to the breath we start the class with, we're just going to take our 3 middle fingers to the centre of the forehead, dropping the little finger to the left nostril, right finger to the right nostril. Block the right nostril and take a breath in through the left. Block the left, breathe out right. Breathing in right. And breathing out left. The next time you end on the right nostril, just release your hands and settle down. So we can stay seated or we can lie down. The choice is yours. But just staying with the sensations that we've created within the body. Try not to disturb the energies that we've formulated. So here is when we're just going to reflect upon, again, the qualities of the body, the qualities that make up you and your personality. So it's very easy to chastise ourselves. We kind of tend to notice the things that we do wrong rather than the things that we do right. So we want to honour the light and dark, well, the light within us. So just notice one really good quality, a radiant quality that you have. And just sit with it for a moment. Think about this positive, shining quality that you've got. Just sit and just be with this wonderful aspect of yourself. You know, notice how people receive this gift of yourself. Notice the effect that this gift that you have has on others. Just embrace this greatness that is you. So as winter starts to turn to spring and the days become brighter, we can almost look at this acknowledgement of these deep, profound, shining qualities as something that might even guide you in the next few weeks, the next few months. As we take another breath inward, just picture it rising upwards towards the mind. And our exhale travels down and into the earth around us. Just do that a few times. And if you wish to do another little om, you're very welcome to do a little om. Just see how that sits with you. Om. And then starting to open your eyes. And as you come now around to that, I just want to repeat what we started with. So you are your deepest desire is, or you are what your deepest desire is. As your desire is, so is your intention. As your intention is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. So finding a way to come towards seated. You don't have to, I could just switch off, don't mind. She creeps closer to the camera so she can switch it off very subtly. I'll just stop the recording. So to anybody who got recording, namaste. Have a lovely new year and stuff. And I'll stop.